When a dinosaur died 70 million years ago, why didn't it just disappear? Why do we have fossils at all? The truth is, fossilization is one of the rarest natural events on Earth. Out of the trillions of organisms that have ever lived, only a tiny fraction were preserved. Today, we're breaking down the step-by-step science of fossilization, why it's so unlikely, and the major types of fossil preservation. By the end of this video, you'll understand why every fossil is basically a miracle of geology. Let's step right into deep Hey guys, welcome back to the Prehistoric Life Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, and today, if you didn't get it by the intro, we're talking about the one major thing that makes paleontology and our understanding of the paleo world and all past life possible: fossils and fossilization. But before we talk about fossils, about how fossils form, we need to understand why they usually don't and why fossilization is extremely rare. When an organism dies today, several destructive forces begin immediately. Scavengers tear apart soft tissue, bacteria and fungi break down organic material, oxygen accelerates decay, weather and erosion scatter remains, acidic soil can dissolve bones. In most environments, a skeleton can disappear in years, sometimes even months. For fossilization to occur, three major conditions usually help: rapid burial, low oxygen anoxic conditions, and material-rich groundwater. Without those, nature reclaims everything. This is why the fossil record is biased towards hard parts like bones, shells, teeth, places like aquatic and floodplain environments, and large-bodied animals. Soft tissue-bodied organisms, almost always gone. That is what you call preservation bias. So, continuing on, let's walk through the classic fossilization pathway with the step-by-step fossilization process. So, step one is the most obvious place: death in the right place. Location matters. If a dinosaur dies in the forest or the mountains, its remains will unlikely to be fossilized. But if it dies in a floodplain, near a river, in a lake bed, in a coastal delta, now the odds increase dramatically. These are sediment-heavy environments. Now, step two is the thing that comes after that, is kind of another obvious one, is the rapid burial. So our lucky dinosaur was lucky enough to die in a floodplain, and a flood comes. A flood deposits layers of mud and sand over the carcass. Volcanic ash might blanket it. This burial protects from scavenger, limits oxygen, stabilizes the remains. The faster the burial, the better the preservation. Now, step three is sediment compaction. Over thousands of millions of years, the sediment builds up. Pressure increases. Water is squeezed out. Those sediments become sedimentary rocks. The bones are now trapped within a rock layer. Now, step four is what is usually, this is where it can start to vary usually, but we're going down the classic bone route. So we're going through pre-mineralization. So we have our bones in the ground. Groundwater moves through the rocks and carries dissolved minerals like silica, calcite, and iron. These minerals seep into the microscopic pores of bones. Over time, they crystallize. Eventually, the original organic material is replaced or reinforced by stone. The shape remains, but chemically, it's now rock. That's pre-mineralization, the most common fossilization type for vertebrates. Now, we're going to talk about the types of fossilization. Fossils don't always form the same way. Different chemical and environmental conditions create different preservation styles. Let's go deeper into this. As we just talked about, Permineralization, the most common in vertebrates. This is the process most dinosaur bones undergo. Mineral-rich groundwater seeps into tiny pores inside bones. Minerals like silica, calcite, and iron are the most common ones. Crystallize inside these pores. Important detail. The original structure is there. It's reinforced and filled with minerals. It's like turning bone into natural concrete. There is still bone, basically. Permineralization preserves the internal detail extremely well, sometimes even microscopic bone cells. So we get some really cool things. Now, this is actually a recreation cast, but you get the idea. It's supposed to represent the original, and this is a real Mosasaurus tooth. So, yeah. The next type we're going to talk about is replacement or chemical substitution. Replacement is more extreme. Instead of minerals filling pores, the original material dissolves away completely and is replaced molecule by molecule with a new mineral. The shape stays the same. The chemistry changes. For example, shells originally made of calcium carbonate, groundwater dissolves it, silica and pyrite replace it. The result, a fossil that looks identical in form but is chemically different from the original organism. Some stunning gold ammonites form this way. Replacement can preserve incredibly fine detail down to even the shell ornamentation. So what you see on the shell. It's amazing and beautiful. I do not think I have an ammonite here, which sucks. But the next type we're going to talk about is actually molds cast in steinkerns. I'm sure you've heard of a mold and a cast, but not a steinkern. So this is where it gets really cool. So a mold, if a shell or bone dissolves completely after burial, it can leave behind a hollow impression in rock. This impression is called a mold. It's like pressing your hand into wet concrete, then pulling it out. You'll see your hand imprint. Now, a cast, on the other hand, if minerals later fill the mold, they create a cast, a 3D replica of the original organism. It's not the original material. It's a natural rock copy. And I did mention a third thing earlier, steinkerns. Now, here's the advanced concept. A steinkern is a special type of internal cast. Here's how it forms. You have a shell, like a clam or ammonite. It gets buried. Sediment fills the inside of the shell. The shell later dissolves away. And what remains is the hardened sediment that once filled the shell's interior. So instead of preserving the outside surface, the steinkern preserves the internal cavity shape. That means muscle scars may disappear. Exterior ornamentation is often lost. You're looking at the inside shape of the animal. Many fossil ammonites and clams you see in museums are actually steinkerns. Its preservation of absence, which is kind of poetic if you think about it. The next type we're going to talk about is carbonization or carbon films. When organisms are compressed under heat and pressure, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen escape as gases. Carbon remains. This leaves behind a thin black film outlining the organism. This is common in plants, fish, and soft-bodied organisms. It's why many ancient ferns look like this delicate black silhouette in stone. The next thing we're going to talk about is trace fossils or behavior preserved. These are not body fossils. They're evidence of activity. Examples are like footprints and nesting grounds, bite marks, coprolites. Trace fossils can reveal speed, social behavior, predator-prey interactions, and even diet with coprolites. Sometimes we find footprints without knowing exactly what species made it. The behavior fossilized, not the body. So you get trackways, hunting paths, nesting sites, things like that. The next type we're going to talk about, you may be familiar with thanks to Jurassic Park, is amber preservation. Tree resin traps small organisms over millions of years. Resin polymerizes and becomes amber. Amber can preserve soft tissue, fine hair, feathers, even microscopic structures. Unlike pre-mineralization, this isn't mineral replacement. It's entombment. This is some of the most detailed preservation we have from the Mesozoic. Now, the final type we're going to talk about is freezing and mummification. In rare environments, permafrost, extremely dry deserts, anoxic bogs, decay slows drastically. So we have our mammoth here. Ice Age mammals preserved in permafrost have been found with hair, muscles, and stomach content. This is preservation by environmental stasis, not mineralization. Most dinosaur fossils are just bones, though. But sometimes we get something extraordinary. We get dinosaur mummies. Now, we have mummification here. Now, these aren't like Egyptian mummies wrapped in cloth. In paleontology, a mummy means a soft tissue like skin imprint, and sometimes even internal structures are preserved. Let's talk about some really cool examples. So we have this cool hadrosaur here, and to show what I was talking about, it will be in one of these environments like extremely dry deserts or anoxic bogs, and it will be covered. But this is Dakota. Meet Dakota the hadrosaur. Discovered in North Dakota, Dakota is one of the most famous dinosaur mummies ever found. What makes Dakota special? It preserved skin impressions, clear scale patterns, and evidence of muscle structures. Scientists were even able to use laser scanning, to estimate muscle mass, revealing the hadrosaur may have been more athletic than previously thought. Instead of just a skeleton, we got texture, we got skin. That changes everything about how we reconstruct these animals. And another really cool one is this Borealopelta, or the nodosaur with armor and color. One of the most jaw-dropping fossils ever discovered. This nodosaur was found in Canada and is preserved in stunning three-dimensional detail. What's preserved? Armor plates, these beautiful osteoderms, keratin sheaths for the osteoderms, skin, and even pigment traces. Researchers were able to detect evidence of counter shading, darker on the top, lighter underneath, suggesting camouflage. That means we're not just guessing what it looks like. We have chemical evidence of the coloration. Now, that's next level of fossilization. And the last one we're going to look at is Leonardo. I don't know where I got Leonard from. Another hadrosaur mummy. Nicknamed Leonardo, this specimen preserved external skin impressions, stomach contents, and body outline. This gave scientists rare insight into dinosaur diets and soft tissue anatomy. Normally, internal organs are the first thing to decay. So when they're preserved, it tells us burial happened very rapidly. Now, how did these dinosaurs become mummies? For a long time, scientists thought mummified dinosaurs formed because the body dried out before burial, scavengers removed internal organs, and skin hardened and protected the skeleton. But newer research suggests something even more interesting. In some cases, rapid burial may have happened first. Then bacteria inside the body created gas that inflated the carcass, tightening the skin like a drum. The tight skin resisted collapse long enough for mineralization to occur. So instead of drying out in the open, some dinosaur mummies may have fossilized while still relatively intact underground. Now, why this matters is kind of a silly question if you're watching this and you're enjoying paleontology. But mummified dinosaurs give us skin texture, scale patterns, evidence of colors, body mass estimates, clues about diet, and more accurate reconstruction. They move us beyond just bones. They let us see dinosaurs as living animals, not skeletons. And that's incredibly rare in the fossil record. Now, why the fossil record is incomplete. The fossil record is not a perfect archive. It's biased towards, as I said earlier, organisms with hard parts, aquatic environment, and certain geological time periods. Entire ecosystems likely existed that we have zero fossil evidence for. Erosion also destroys fossils faster than they form. That's why paleontology is dynamic. Every new discovery fills a gap, changes timelines, and revises evolutionary relationships. We're constantly rewriting Earth history. Oop, I guess I should have put that in a different location. But as I said, how the dinosaurs became mummies, but I should have said that earlier. Now, for a quick compression, this is a great visual recap here. We have pre-mineralization, minerals fill spaces, replacement, original material swapped out, mold impression left behind, cast is filled in impression, steinkerns is internal cast of a shell, carbonization, carbon film remains, trace fossils, behavior preserved or behavioral preservation, amber is resin entombment, freezing/mummification is decay halted. So fossils are not just rocks. They are geological accidents that survive decay, pressure, and chemical alteration. Millions of years of Earth's activity. Each one is a snapshot of a vanished world. And that's what makes paleontology so powerful. If you enjoyed this deep dive, drop a comment telling me which fossil type fascinated you most. And let me know what prehistoric topic you would want me to tackle next. Specific dinosaurs or maybe even that new Spinosaurus. I really don't know how I'm going to post these episodes. I have a few episodes that I'm trying to record right now, or I have recorded, depending on, when this episode comes up. But feel free to leave a comment down below if you want me to cover something specifically. And if you like my content, you can see some of my extra content on Prehistoric Life Podcast on Instagram. You, of course, if you're on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I think last time we checked, we were at 990, which is amazing. If you want to see all my content in one place, go check out my webpage, prehistoriclifepodcast.com. And if you want to support me beyond this, please go check out my Patreon and feel free to support. And as y'all know, there is the upcoming Prehistoric Live event where we will have some amazing speakers. We have 8 speakers total. So remember to get your tickets today. But that is all from me for right now. I'm your host, Eric Crawford. This has been Prehistoric Life Podcast. And remember, keep it prehistoric. Goodbye. Huge shout out to today's sponsor, Dinosaur Trips. If you enjoy these majestic creatures I talk about here on the podcast and would like to go see them for yourself, I would heavily recommend Dinosaur Trips. Dinosaur Trips is a company created to give people a behind-the-scenes in-look on museums and dig sites, along with just having an amazing time looking at these amazing, fabulous, majestic creatures. So if you sound interested, go to www.dinosaurtrips.com and tell them Prehistoric Life sent you and get $250 off your tickets. Now, back to the show. If you follow my account, you probably like dinosaurs, fossils, and the prehistoric world. And if you have ever shopped for fossils, you'll see that a lot of them have some very high prices, rightfully so, because they are usually one-of-a-type specimen. Then you go look for casts, and you see a lot of these low-quality casts going around, so you just don't know what to do. You either have to buy something super expensive or something super low quality.
Enter dinosaur skeletons. Dinosaur skeletons specializes in creating museum-quality replicas of prehistoric life and is renowned for its highly detailed reconstructions. Founded by a professional paleo artist with over a decade of experience in the collectibles industry, they are dedicated to providing enthusiasts, collectors, and institutions with the opportunity to own magnificent, lifelike prehistoric replicas. Each creation is crafted with exceptional care and attention to detail. This means they are highly accurate to their source material, super high quality, and museum grade level quality. This is probably the closest you could get to bringing home a museum exhibit. They're also fairly affordable for the accuracy and quality put into it, which also means they make great gifts for birthdays and holidays for that collector or dinosaur enthusiast you know. So go check out Dinosaur Skeletons and get your cast today.